Hey there, welcome to the best damn sports show on YouTube today, TXN Sports World NFL Friday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. Lots to get into here tonight. The main event, the title of this says it all, Super Wildcard Weekend of the NFL playoffs as they start tomorrow. That is our main event this evening. But before we get into that, we have two pieces of business that we need to get into. It was initially going to be one, but I felt that it was imperative that we address the coaching carousel in the world of football, especially when you have three of the most successful coaches in the history of football ending their long tenures. It all started on Wednesday when Pete Carroll announced that he was going to be leaving. He was going to resign as head coach of the Seattle Seahawks after 14 seasons. And then a few hours later, the world was rocked again when arguably the greatest college football coach of all time, Nick Saban, called it a career, announced his retirement as head coach of the University of Alabama. And then the final domino, that being the end of an era for Michael Bullock and his New England Patriots. Bill Belichick and the team parting ways after 24 seasons. Seattle has yet to name a successor, but according to sources, Alabama and New England have already found their successors. So, and on top of that, Arthur Smith fired as head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And despite some moderate success with the Las Vegas Raiders, they decided not to go forward with Antonio Pierce, which I'm still scratching my head about. And Mike Vrabel let go as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Just unbelievable what has happened over the last, 48 hours or so. And unbelievable. So, but let's just dive on into let's dive into this a little bit further here. Pete Carroll removed as Seattle Seahawks head coach. And why did they make this change? Why the Seahawks made this coaching change? They've made several big moves over the last 9 seasons in an attempt to get back to the top of the NFL after winning Super Bowl 48. And nearly repeating the next season. They've made blockbuster trades and big money free agent signings. He said he had planned to continue on, indicating that this move was made by owner Jody Allen. But Allen's statement gave only a vague reasoning, saying the move was in the best interest of the organization, but observers can see the Seahawks have settled into a run of mediocrity. Since winning the Super Bowl at the end of the 13th season and should have repeated as champions next season, if not for the most bonehead call in history, looking at you, Darrell Bevel, the Seahawks have made the playoffs 6 times, but have failed to advance past the divisional round. Pete Carroll said on his radio show earlier this week that the Seahawks are closer to winning a Super Bowl now than they were a year ago, when they also finished 9-8. But there was no obvious indication of that vision. Seattle's defense regressed, and its offense underperformed. Over the last 3 seasons, the Seahawks are 25-27, including a wildcard loss that ended their lone playoff appearance in that stretch. The other question is, what does Pete Carroll's future look like now? Jody Allen said in her statement that Carroll will remain with the team in an advisory role. Carroll has looked as energetic as ever at the age of 72 and has shown no signs in recent seasons that his passion for coaching has waned. Carroll did say that he is not worn out or tired and that he wanted to continue coaching, which makes it fair to wonder whether he would have interest in coaching another team if the right opportunity arose. On the flip side, Carroll might not want to start over with a new team in a new city at this stage of his career. And asked during his news conference whether he would entertain another coaching job, he said, "Today is about today." Carroll said that he doesn't know what his new role will entail, but that he will not be assisting general manager John Schneider in the search for his replacement. So who could be in the mix to be the next Seattle coach? Adam Schefter reported that Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn will be among those on the Seahawks list of candidates. Quinn has been an obvious possibility in recent seasons, while questions about Carroll's coaching future have grown. He has a relationship with Schneider, having had 2 stints on the Seahawks coaching staff, including 2009 to 10 as a defensive line coach and as the defensive coordinator from 2013 to 14. He was the coordinator during their 2 Super Bowl appearances, overseeing one of the most dominant units in NFL history, the Legion of Boom. The steady decline of Seattle's defense since then is the biggest reason the team is now searching for a new coach. The Seahawks were 25th in yards allowed per play this season at 5.5, and Dallas ranked 9th there at 5. So we will definitely keep an eye on this as, and we will definitely address it if any further developments, come in. But you look at his coaching career, his career highlights: winning the Super Bowl with Seattle, the NFL 2010s All-Decade Team, won a BCS national championship with USC in 2004, 2-time AP national champion, 03 and 04, 4-time winner of the Rose Bowl, 2003, and then 3 straight from 06 to 08, won 2 Orange Bowls, 2002 and 2004, 7 Pac-10 championships from 2002 to 2008. 2003 was the Home Depot Coach of the Year and the AFCA Coach of the Year. In his college career, 83 and 19 career record. In the NFL, 181, 131, and 1. Overall, a final record of 1 in the 181, 131, and 1 is the combined record in the NFL. He was 170, 120, and 1 in the regular season and 11 and 11 in the playoffs. A man who started with the Jets and the 49ers in New England and USC and Seattle, an all-around great career. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Seattle moves forward with their new coach, whoever that may be at this time. Nick Saban announced his retirement this past Wednesday also. I mean, his resume reads like a who's who. 7 national championships, 1 with LSU in 2003, and then 6 more national championships, all with Alabama in 2009, 2011 and 12, 2015, 2017, and 2020. Won 11 SEC championships, 2 with LSU, 9 with Alabama, 1 MAC championship, 12 SEC Western Division titles, a 2-time Paul Bear Bryant Award winner, 2-time Walter Camp Coach of the Year, won the George Munger Award in 2016, the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year in 2014, 2-time AP College Football Coach of the Year, 2-time Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year, Home Depot Coach of the Year, Sporting News Coach of the Year, Liberty Mutual Coach of the Year, Bobby Bowden Coach of the Year, 5-time SEC Coach of the Year. Another man with NFL ties. He started with the Cleveland Browns under Bill Belichick. He was the defensive coordinator for that 1994 Cleveland Brown team before he finally got his first head coaching job with the Michigan State Spartans from 1995 up until 1999. And then from 2000 to 2004 was the head coach of the LSU Tigers, which he took to a national title in 2003. And then from 2005 to 2006, he served as the head coach of MF's Miami Dolphins. And then from 2007 all the way to this past season was the head football coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and finished with a head coaching record of, now the NFL record, not all that good, 15-17. In college, 292, 71-1, 19-12 in bowl games, and 9-5 in the college football playoff. He's called it a career, and now it's being reported that a Washington coach, Kalen DeBoer, who just took Washington to the college, not only to the college football playoff, but to the college football playoff national championship. And Nick Saban, one of college football's coaching greats, 7 national titles, turned Alabama back into a national powerhouse that included 6 of those 7 titles, announced his retirement after 17 seasons in Tuscaloosa. He said in a statement, "The University of Alabama has been a very special place to Terry and I. We have enjoyed every minute of our 17 years being the head coach at Alabama, as well as becoming a part of the Tuscaloosa community. It is not just about how many games we won and lost, but it's about the legacy and how we went about it. We always tried to do it the right way. The goal was always to help players create more value for their future, be the best player they could be, and be more successful in life because they were part of the program." 201 wins, tied with the late, great Vince Dooley out of Georgia for the second most wins at a single school in SEC history, behind only the great Bear Bryant, who won 232 games in his 25 seasons with Alabama. Under Bryant, Alabama reached dynastic heights, winning 13 SEC titles and 6 national titles. Saban returned the Crimson Tide to those heights, winning 9 conference titles and 6 more national championships. Simply put, Nick Saban is one of the greatest coaches of all time in any sport. Consummate coach, mentor, and leader. And his impact is felt far beyond the football field. While his time as Alabama coach may have come to an end, his legacy will live on forever. And whether you like Alabama or you don't, I will honestly admit what an honor it was for us to have a front row seat to one of the best to ever do it. He spoke to his players and staff in the team room for about 15 minutes, informing them of his retirement. He then told them that Byrne wanted to talk with them. Saban left the room while Byrne was speaking and talked to his staff some more afterward. That's Greg Byrne, the athletic director of Alabama. For just about everybody in the program, the timing of Saban's announcement was a surprise. He was interviewing potential assistant coaches via Zoom an hour before telling his players he was retiring. He had also interviewed some candidates on Tuesday, and according to sources, didn't want to continue down that road after finalizing his decision to retire. In the meeting, he thanked his players for the way they bought in and told them that he had thought out his decision carefully. But with the way college football has changed in terms of the transfer portal and tampering, NIL being used as a geese for bidding for high school players and transfers, and the recruiting calendar being extended, he told his players that the time was right for him to retire. In his 28 years as a college head coach, a career that included 7 national championships, 12 conference championships, 19 bowl wins, he never had a losing season. His worst seasons were in 1996 and 1998 at Michigan State, finished 500. 2-year foray into the NFL with the Miami Dolphins before returning to college football to revive one of its most storied programs, which at the time hadn't won a national title in 15 years. He won more games in 17 seasons at Alabama than the Crimson Tide won in the 24 seasons between Bryant's retirement and Saban's hiring. Saban won 201, combined before that, 171. 292, 71-1 as a coach, college coach, ranking him 6th all-time in the FBS in wins and 12th in NCAA college football history, regardless of division. Led Toledo to a MAC championship in 1990, his lone season as that program's coach. Then worked as Bill Belichick's defensive coordinator with the Cleveland Browns for 4 seasons before becoming the first Michigan State coach to lead his first 3 teams to bowl games and then taking LSU to the 2003 national championship. After going 7-6 in his debut season in 2007, Alabama won at least 10 games in 16 straight seasons under Saban. Longest streak by any program in the AP poll era since 1936. This despite playing 107 games against AP-ranked teams during Saban's tenure, 14 more than any other program. Just as legendary as Saban's coaching resume is his coaching tree, as his tutelage helped launch the careers of Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, among others. Other notable coaches part of his staffs include Mario Cristobal, Brent Key, Dan Lanning, and Mike Loxley. Alabama's odds to win the national championship next season moved from 6-1 to 8-1 after his retirement was reported. Crimson Tide have the 3rd shortest odds behind Georgia and Ohio State. And now, Kalen DeBoer, he's now the man. He's got a tough act to follow. And over and above everything else, Alabama wanted a proven winner. And Coach DeBoer has won everywhere he has been. He won 11 or more games in 7 of his 9 seasons as a head coach. Took Washington to a Pac-12 championship and the college football playoff national championship game in his 2nd season at UW. 2 of the other guys mentioned prominently in the Alabama coaching search, Dan Lanning and Steve Sarkisian, were a combined 0-5 against DeBoer over the last 2 seasons. DeBoer's offenses were electric, and it was important for Alabama to get someone with vast head coaching experience. DeBoer has been a head coach in the Pac-12 at Fresno State and in the Division II ranks with Sioux Falls. He's got big shoes to fill, guys. He really does. Roster retention is priority number 1. Mass exodus of players to the portal could be crippling, especially since the ability to backfill won't happen again until the portal reopens for non-graduates in the spring. Even then, most of the big names already made their moves. But setting aside that immediate concern, far and away, the biggest challenge will be expectations. Not just wins and losses, but constantly being compared to Nick Saban and how he did things. While there's no tower a la Bear Bryant to take down, DeBoer will have to walk a fine line implementing his process without appearing to step on Saban's capital P process. Change too many things too quickly, and the fan base and boosters might revolt. And in today's game of NIL, you have to keep the donations coming. And last but certainly not least, Michael Bullock, I know this is especially hard for you, Bill Belichick. What can I say? With the New England Patriots, the resume reads like a who's who. Eight Super Bowl championships. He won 6 with New England, but he also won 2 as the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. 3 times was voted the AP NFL Coach of the Year in 2003, 2007, and 2010. Maxwell Club NFL Coach of the Year in 2007. All-Decade Team in 2000s and 2010s. The NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. The New England Patriots All-2000s Team. 50th Anniversary Team. All-2010s Team. All-Dynasty Team. PFWA Executive of the Year in 2021. He has the most record. Listen to all these records. Most Super Bowl wins, 8. Most Super Bowl wins as a head coach, 6. Most Super Bowl appearances, 12. Most Super Bowl appearances as a head coach, 9. Most playoff wins as a head coach, 31. Most playoff appearances as a head coach, 19. And most divisional titles as a head coach, 17 AFC East division titles, 9 AFC championships, 6 Super Bowls, a regular season record of 302 and 165 in the regular season, a 31-13 playoff record, a career record of 333 and 178. And now, big shoes to fill as New England Patriots have found their new man, one of Bill Belichick's best defensive players, Gerard Mayo. He's now the man in New England. And I know Michael Bullock's going to elaborate a great deal about it when we get to him, but he will no longer serve as Patriots coach after a remarkable 24 seasons. Saying Thursday that we're going to move on while also looking back. I've spent a good part of this week periodically meeting and discussing how each side wanted to proceed. From sources familiar with those conversations, there was said to be no conflict, no disagreement. And in the end, productive talks resulted in a mutual decision that left both sides comfortable and at ease. During the news conference yesterday, Robert Kraft called Bill Belichick the greatest. He said that this is a move and his family for the opportunity and support, saying, "We had a vision of building a championship football team that has exceeded my wildest dreams and expectations. I'm very proud of that. I'll always have those great memories and will carry those with me the rest of my life." 1 year left on his contract, allowed to lead the team without New England seeking compensation. He wants to continue coaching and is expected to draw interest from at least some of the other 7 NFL teams that have head coaching vacancies, including quite possibly the Atlanta Falcons. Patriots, they have their man. That is Gerard Mayo. He played for New England from 2008 to 15 and has been an assistant under Belichick since 2019. With him being the choice, the Patriots established a succession plan in the contract he signed last offseason. The organization could hire him, and they did hire him at any point without going through the standard NFL hiring process, aka the Rooney Rule. And Kraft said in a news conference that he chose not to try to trade Belichick, saying he didn't think it was right to turn the coach's departure into a transaction, and comparing the circumstances to Tom Brady leaving for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady posted on Instagram calling him the best coach in NFL history. "We accomplished some amazing things over a long period of time, many of which will be hard to replicate. He worked every day to help us achieve the ultimate goal in the ultimate team sport. I could never have been the player I was without you, Coach Belichick. I am forever grateful, and I wish you the best of luck in whatever you choose next." There is a symmetry and a similarity in the departures of two football legends, men who are widely considered the greatest coach in professional history and the greatest coach in college football history. Belichick helped lead the Patriots to 9 Super Bowl appearances and 6 titles. Saban led Alabama to 9 SEC championships and 6 national championships. Additionally, Saban succeeded Pete Carroll as the Ohio State secondary coach in 1980 when Belichick was head coach in Cleveland, worked with Saban from 91 to 94, and Belichick replaced Carroll as the Patriots head coach in 2000, decades before all three vacated their long-standing jobs this week in a 24-hour period. The fact that Belichick and Kraft are going their own ways carries an element of sadness, but not surprise. Kraft had pointed out how important it was for the Patriots to make the playoffs this season. Instead, they were one of the first teams eliminated on December 10th. Speculation about the future swirled during this season, with one of the lowest points for the team coming November the 12th in a 10-6 loss to the Indianapolis Colts in Frankfurt, Germany. Another key factor for Kraft was the franchise's trajectory since Tom Brady's departure as a free agent after the 2019 season. Since losing Brady, which pained Kraft, the Patriots posted losing records in 3 of their 4 seasons, and their last playoff win was Super Bowl 53 against the LA Rams when Tom Brady was on the team. Belichick leaves with 333 career wins, including playoffs, ranking second all-time behind Don Shula and his 347. Belichick, George Halas, and Curly Lambeau are the only NFL coaches with 6 championships since the league began postseason play in 1933. As he departs New England, you know the resume, and it's simply put, these are going to be tough waters for the successors. We don't know who it is in Seattle yet, but for Kalen DeBoer and Gerard Mayo, that is, by golly, that's not going to be easy. So best of luck, Nick Saban. Enjoy your retirement. Well deserved. You most certainly deserve it after all the history you made at Alabama. And to Pete Carroll and to Bill Belichick, best of luck to you guys. And we'll wait and see what happens with them. So, and we'll definitely keep an eye on the remaining coaching carousel vacancies as they become available. But for right now, I've spoken. I've said my piece. So good old MF Michael Fletcher, I bring you on in. Come on in. Wow. What a week in the coaching carousel. As we said goodbye, Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. Legends, one and all.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. The Pete Carroll one kind of caught us all by surprise because at first we were wondering, like, what happened? Why did this happen? How did this lead to this decision? I think we all kind of were kind of wondering what really transpired more than anything else, because a lot of us were kind of thinking, that Pete Carroll was not in any danger, that, even though they fell a little short to make the playoffs, we all thought Carroll was fine. We thought he was not on the chopping block. We didn't hear anything about any trouble that he was in or any type of situation. So it kind of caught us off guard when we started hearing the news that Pete Carroll was out. As a matter of fact, obviously, I found out, of all places, Pat McAfee's show, they talked about it right then and there. And that's when we found out about Pete Carroll being let go. So it really stunned us. It stunned me to hear that Carroll was out. And then obviously more details came through that, well, he's out as head coach, but he's going to be in an advisory position. Now, that leads to a lot of different questions. What type of impact is he going to have on the roster? What type of impact is he going to be as an advisor? Like you said, Anthony, he had that heart, that passion, that fire, that he was not ready to leave. And it kind of felt like he got pushed out. For what reason, I don't know. And I kind of feel like that was one of those that, was obviously a devastating announcement, left us rocked and reeling, and it stunned us. Then the Nick Saban news came out, and this was even bigger because for us, Nick Saban was one of those that we thought he was going to keep going, man. There was no hint, no warning, no nothing that he was thinking of retirement or to be leaving Alabama after his incredible run, winning another SEC championship, getting into the Rose Bowl, getting into the college football playoff. Now, you can argue, was that fair for them to get in? Should they have been left out? Because of the fact about the Florida State situation. There are going to be detractors, and there's going to be a lot of people that's going to have a lot of different opinions about Alabama's inclusion into the college football playoff. At the end of the day, like you said, the body of work of Alabama has pretty much been, we talking about Bear Bryant and the success that he had and why he is considered one of the greatest coaches in college football history. Now you got another one in Nick Saban who did almost similar numbers as Bear Bryant did, and did it in such a way in an era that basically he made Alabama back into the prominence, back into the greatness, back into the most dominating powerhouse in all of the SEC, and not only that, college football as a whole. You got your detractors, and there's a lot of people that will definitely not shed a tear seeing Nick Saban go goodbye. There are going to be those who are going to be like, great, this is our opportunity. This is a very good situation for all of us. Now with Kevin DeBoer leaving Washington to head to Alabama is an absolute head scratcher. Now, don't get me wrong. If the iron is hot, you go and jump. That's the way I feel. The iron is scorching hot for Kevin DeBoer. If he did not take Alabama, there was another job probably lined up for him, because he was probably one of the most sought-after head coaches in college football, especially after what he did this past year with the Washington Huskies, going undefeated, winning the Pac-12, getting into the national championship game. We'll get into that in just a little bit. What they did, at the end of the day, they did exactly what they needed it to do. It was absolutely the right moment at the right time. And I know a lot of people are going to feel that the Boers betrayed Washington, because he made it almost abundantly clear that he was not leaving Washington. He talked about how great the culture was, how great the team was, how great the city is, or the state. And it kind of felt like he is not leaving, that he is probably going to be there for the long haul, that they did not finish their story yet, and that they were going to probably come back stronger than ever, better than ever, and maybe making another run and another shot at a college football playoff national championship. Now that is out the door. Now Washington is left stunned, heartbroken that their head coach that they thought they had reliable, that was going to be reliable for them, just 86'd out and went out the door and is now heading down to Tuscaloosa. Great thing for Alabama, because that means they get to probably, most likely, might not lose that many players off the transfer portal. And on top of that, there's probably a few guys who maybe were on the outside looking in when they heard that Saban was out. Maybe might say, you know what? Now Kevin DeBoer is here. I'm going to stay on. Let me stay with Alabama for the recruitment of 2025, 2026, and beyond. Because when you get a head coach that has already gone to the college football playoff, and not only that, to make it to the national championship game, you know you're going to get a lot of capital and a lot of good looks. And especially in what undoubtedly is going to be a very loaded SEC coming up this upcoming year, because this is going to be the year Oklahoma comes, Texas joins the party, and it's going to get crazy in the SEC. So was that just a calculated move by Kevin DeBoer? We'll wait. We'll see. There's going to be there's a lot to talk about, and there's going to be a lot to dissect, especially in that situation. All right. Bill Belichick. The man was a terror for Anthony and for myself for a number of years, especially during the glory days of the New England Patriots. We just couldn't figure him out. We couldn't figure out Brady and the crew, and we just didn't know how we were gonna win. When we won those games against the Patriots, and there were a few, and there was definitely a lot, especially in Miami, we had a lot more success than Buffalo did when we faced Belichick and Brady and the Patriots. But whenever we beat them, it felt like we won our own personal little Super Bowl. So, Belichick, without a doubt, is the greatest head coach in NFL history. You can make the argument that he is a Mount Rushmore coach. You can talk about Phil Jackson. You can talk about Red Auerbach. You can talk about Joe Torre with the New York Yankees, Bobby Cox with the Atlanta Braves. Whatever you want to say, Tony La Russa. The list goes on and on. This man made the New England Patriots what was kind of a fledgling, not so great. You had a couple of years here, a couple of years there, but majority of the time, they were not a good team. He made them into one of the greatest football squads and the most recognizable football squads in the history of the NFL. For all the good or all the bad, you can talk about the debates, you can talk about the arguments, you can talk about what he did, during his time, and there's going to be a lot of debate about Bill Belichick's legacy, especially in New England. There's going to be a lot of people that is going to die on the sword of Bill Belichick and be one of his biggest lovers and will stand by him till the cows come home. But then there's going to be those detractors, the ones who felt like he was the reason why Tom Brady got pushed out of New England. There's going to be those who is going to feel that maybe the last couple of years of the failures of the New England Patriots solely falls on Belichick more than any other person. Now, that can be construed in a million different ways. But what was always there for Belichick and the Patriots was consistency. They always had that Patriot way, the next man up. If somebody went down, another guy jumped in. And that is what made New England so powerful. And in the era of salary cap, of trying to balance the books, as they say, New England just did it in an artwork. The drafts was absolutely a masterclass of Belichick, making trades, getting the best available players, guys that would fit his system, guys who maybe not necessarily is the sexiest pick for the New England Patriots, but were the perfect person and the perfect guy that played in their system, and it made it work. Year in and year out, we always were watching the Patriots dominating the AFC East, dominating the AFC, and was taking home 6 Lombardi trophies because of it. Without a doubt, the most influential head coach of my generation, of Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock's generation. We will never, ever, ever see another era like the New England Patriots, like what Bill Belichick did along with Tom Brady. Now, with Gerard Mayo being hired, there were some people who had reservations about Gerard Mayo. Some people that I personally talked to today is actually not happy with this decision. Some people felt like Mike Vrabel should have been the head coach. Some people thought that the Patriots should have continued their search and should have expanded the net a little bit for somebody who might have been more qualified and better for the head coaching job with the New England Patriots. One Patriot fan in particular, I will not mention this person's name out of respect, actually voiced his displeasure about the pick, said that it was not only the wrong move, but went as far to say that the Patriots had been set back by at least 2 to 3 years with this hiring today. This absolutely caught me off guard of how animated and very realistic that this person was. He's a very loyal Patriot fan, a diehard Patriot fan, so I cannot question his validity or viability or anything like that. He is not a bandwagoner. He is a true New England Patriot that's been with the team since the 1970s. This Patriot fan has been with the squad or been loyal to that team since the 70s. So I will not, repeat, I will not take anything to task with this gentleman because this star is a loyal fan to the end. He has his opinion. He had a right to that opinion, and I will not challenge him on this topic because I do not have the right to say anything on that topic because I don't think as a Miami Dolphin fan, I don't think I have the grounds or even the chutzpah to say what he said. He had the right to say it because he is a loyal fan. And hey, everybody has an opinion. He thought that they should have gone with a wider net or should have gone with Vrabel because of the fact that this guy has no head coaching experience, is only, I think, a linebackers coach for the New England Patriots, and has not even been a coordinator. That's why he had so much umbrage about that decision. I got nothing to argue with that because, like I said, I'm a Dolphin fan. I don't think I have the moral ground to even go there. So, do I think that it was fair? In one way, I see what he said, and I do understand why he said what he said. But I kind of feel like you got to give the guy a chance. Hopefully he does give him the chance and everything else, but we'll see how New England's going to do. This is going to be a very interesting year. We'll say that for the New England Patriots. But as far as all this stuff goes, this was absolutely stunning. This was an absolute shocker of a 48 hours. And there's really nothing for me to say. So Michael Bullock, front and center, my friend. Talk about Pete Carroll. Talk about Nick Saban. And brother, I cannot wait to hear your opinions about Bill Belichick and Gerard Mayo because this is your team. You have the right to say everything that was said. So it's yours.
Yeah. When it comes to Pete Carroll, I mean, this really caught me off. This caught all of us off guard because I thought for sure this guy was. I thought this guy was going to be safe, but yeah, I mean, for some reason, I mean, the only people that know are Pete Carroll and the front office staff. Who knows? I mean, maybe Pete Carroll felt like maybe it was time for a change, and that's why he felt like somebody else deserves the opportunity to be the coach of this team. But at least he's still going to be around in an advisory role. So yeah, this was this was shocking.
Hey, buddy.
Like, yeah, this was shocking, but yeah, this is
Yeah. What's up? Again?
yeah, this was I said this was shocking, and yeah, this is the end of an era when it comes to Seattle because he brought this team to the playoffs, including a Super Bowl championship in Super Bowl 48 when they had that known as the Legion of Boom. And they've been to the playoffs so many other times, but yeah, this was shocking, but I'm interested to see who the new coach will be. Now, as far as Nick Saban goes, yeah, this was shocking that he was retiring, but the thing when it comes to it is that what more does he have left to prove? I mean, he won a national championship with LSU, but his run in Alabama was just something that we will all never forget. I mean, 6 national championships there. And no matter how many players this guy lost in the draft, this team was still competitive. I mean, yeah, say what you want about them getting in. I mean, so many people felt like they didn't deserve to be in the college football playoff, but what really helped was the getting that winning the SEC championship over Georgia. So yeah, this was. I mean, yeah, say what you want about Nick Saban, but this guy, to me, is one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. Now, to Bill Belichick, this was. The thing is, we knew this was coming. And this, I thought maybe he would stay at least one more year and fulfill the rest of that contract. But obviously, Kraft didn't like where this was going, and he felt that this was the time to mutually agree to part ways. And say what you want about Belichick, he's got a lot of haters, especially with all the controversy with Spygate, Deflategate. But he took what was a franchise that was not good the last few years to one of the greatest dynasties that we have seen in the history of the NFL. From 2001 to 2019. I mean the numbers it's just so staggering with yeah, 6 Super Bowl championships that he's won as the coach of the Patriots. I mean, 296 wins, 9 conference championships, 17, count that, 17 division titles, 31. Oh my goodness, this was just. We're never going to see something like this ever again in New England. I mean, yeah, the last few years have not gone the way he wanted it to, but I don't think it should tarnish his legacy. I know there's going to be some people who will say, oh, it's going to tarnish his legacy. He's not the greatest coach of all time. And there is one person who I can't stand over at Fox that normally appears on that Undisputed show, and you guys know who I'm going with. You have any guesses of who I'm going with?
Are you meaning Skip Bayless? Because I did hear something the other day about it.
Oh, no, it's not Skip Bayless.
Correction, that's Skip Useless, by the way.
Yeah.
No, it's not Skip Bayless, but there's another guy. I'll just say it, RP.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I know exactly who you're talking about, Bullock. A gentleman that started at ESPN, then went over to Fox, and had always had a lot of critical things to say about your team, and you've resented him for it. A gentleman by the name of Rob Parker, and I'm not talking about Colonel Robert Parker from WCW either.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, Rob Parker. I cannot stand that ham and egger jabroni douchebag. I mean, he's always got a lot of negative things to say, whether it's about Bill Belichick, whether it was about Tom Brady, or whether it was about the team itself. I mean, He said that Tom Brady's not the greatest of all time. It's still Joe Montana. That Bill Belichick is a cheater. All those things. You know what, Mr. Rod Parker? You could take all your hate, all your opinions about the Patriots, and you could just take it, and you can, and I'm sorry to say this, Florida, but I gotta do it because of how passionate I am as a fan. You could just take your hate and your opinions of this Patriots team, and you can shove it up your ass. Because the thing I just want to say to you, if you don't like Bill Belichick and the Patriots, then why are you even watching or giving your opinions on them? Nobody wants to waste your time listening to your freaking garbage. So get the you-know-what out with your garbage. So to Bill Belichick, all I can say is, as a longtime Patriots fan, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the inspiration. And thank you for being Bill Belichick. And you will always be a New England Patriot for life. And good luck to wherever you go as the next head coach. And you know there's going to be a spot reserved in the Patriots Hall of Fame for you. And of course, when your coaching days are done, next stop for you will be Canton, Ohio. Regardless of what anybody says. So, man, there's really nothing more for me to say. So let's move on, Florio.
Yes, indeed, Bullock. Very well said. And Kalen DeBoer and Gerard Mayo, you've got big shoes to fill. That's all there is to say on that. And whoever ends up being the man in Seattle in place of Pete Carroll, you've also got big shoes to fill. All right. With that, we move on, and let's lighten the mood a little bit here. And I can't think of a better way to do that. I know these two guys are still on the emotional high from this past Monday night when their beloved Michigan Wolverines made history and did something they hadn't done for the first time, that they had not done since 1997. And that is this past Monday night, they won the college football playoff national championship. And they did it in grand style, putting away the Washington Huskies at NRG Stadium in Houston this past Monday night, 34-13. And they did it with the running game. I mean, the rushing attack, over 300 yards rushing. I mean, just unreal. Blake Corum ran for 134 yards and 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns as Jim Harbaugh and number 1 Michigan, undeterred by suspensions and a sign-stealing scandal that shadowed the program, completed a 3-year climb to a national championship by beating number 2 Washington 34-13 Monday night in the college football playoff title game. The Wolverines sealed their first national title since 1997 when Blake Corum, who scored the winning touchdown in overtime to beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl semifinal, blasted in from the 1-yard line with 3:37 left to put Michigan up by 21 and set off another rousing rendition of their fight song, The Victors. After 9 seasons coaching his alma mater and in his 3rd consecutive playoff appearance, Harbaugh delivered the title so many expected when he took over a struggling powerhouse in 2015, despite missing 6 regular season games this season while serving 2 separate 3-game suspensions. And he did it with a team his old coach, the late Bo Schembechler, would have adored. The Wolverines ran for 303 yards against Washington, and their defense held Michael Penix Jr. and the Huskies' prolific passing game to just 1 touchdown while intercepting the Heisman Trophy runner-up twice. Michael Penix finished, J.J. McCarthy had a modest game, throwing for 140 yards and running for 31, but it was enough for him to improve to 27-1 as a starter for the Wolverines. Michigan gave Washington a taste of life in the Big Ten, where the Pac-12 champions are heading next season, and the Huskies were up for the grind for a while. 2 long touchdown runs by Donovan Edwards and 229 yards rushing in the first quarter put the Wolverines up 17-3 early in the second and conjured up memories of last year's historic Georgia blowout of TCU. And there is and Blake Corum, the engine of ground and pound offense and heart and soul of team loaded with fourth, fifth, and even sixth-year players, missed the college football playoff last year with a knee injury. He was named the offensive player of the game. And you already know the numbers by now. For Michigan, McCarthy, 10 of 18, 140 yards. That's it. Blake Corum, 21 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. Donovan Edwards, 6 carries, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns of his own. 303 rushing yards as a team. That's 8 yards a carry. They had 38 combined carries, 303 yards, 8 a carry, and the long was 59, and that was by Blake Corum. Receiving core didn't do much. Colston Loveland was the leading receiver with 64 yards. Roman Wilson right behind at 54. The defense recorded 1 sack. That was Kenneth Grant. They also had 2 interceptions. Will Johnson had 1, and Mike Sanderstill with an 81-yard interception return for the Michigan Wolverines. For Washington, Michael Penix Jr., 27 of 51, 255 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, running game non-existent. The leading rusher was their star rusher, Dylan Johnson, but he only had 33 yards. Washington's rushing game, they had 20 combined carries for a combined 46 yards. 2.3 a carry. Rome Odunze was the leading receiver, 87 yards on 5 catches. Defense recorded 1 sack of their own. That was Ulumu Ali, and no interceptions. And that is that. And for the first time since 1997, the Michigan Wolverines can call themselves national champions. And it's only fitting that the diehard Michigan fan, good old MF Michael Fletcher, well, I know both of you guys are, but MF, I've known MF, and he's been a Michigan fan, since our junior high school days, maybe even before that. I don't know, but MF, I mean, the 3 of us were in the same school. You and I were in the same class. I mean, the last time this happened, you and I were in the 8th grade. Think about that, 8th grade in junior high, and we were about 14, 15 years old at the time. I mean,
yeah.
And here we are now in the 40 club with Bullock to join in December. He was in the 7th grade, and but nonetheless, MF. I mean, we had the celebration Monday night as part of Ridiculously Raw, and you've had a few days. You've had 4 extra days to think about this. I mean, there isn't anything left for me to ask you, except in the immortal words of Uncle Pat Sajak from A Big Win on the Wheel. How you doing after these last 4 days?
It still kind of dawns on us that we're the national champions. Look, Michigan, their bread and butter was run attack and defense. That was exactly what they were doing. And going into that game, I was very confident that Michigan was going to win the national championship. I didn't have the reservations. I didn't have the nerves like we did when we were facing Alabama in the Rose Bowl. But we were confident that Michigan could get the job done and get to the national championship. And the way that the game played out was exactly the way we kind of felt the game was going to go. And when it happened, it was without a doubt the best feeling in the world, because what Michigan did was basically show why they were this year the best college football team in the nation. Now, a lot of people kind of will say, oh, but they did this, they did that, the cheating scandal, everything else. Well, even the committee came out and they're like, Michigan won this fair and square, guys. There's no debate. The trophy belongs to them. And there's not going to be a fight about that. Michigan is the undisputed national champions for 2023, and nobody's is gonna take that trophy away from them. So it's basically incredible how it happened, what needed to be said, what needed to be done, and the team never gave up. They always stayed fast. They always were tried and true. They blocked out all the noise. They blocked out all the hate. They blocked out all the negativity. They blocked out all of the whatever the heck you want to call it. They buried their heads in the sand. They dug down deep, and they won the national championship. The title belongs to them. I think you can't get any better than what they did. And I'm so proud of this team for what they did this year. They truly, truly deserve to be the national champions. And I'm so proud of this squad. For JJ, for Blake, especially Blake Corn. Blake, my heart broke for you because you got hurt and you missed out on that game, on the game a year ago. And, for JJ and the boys, they knew they let that one get away. They could have won that game. They could have been in the national championship game last year. And they let that one get away, and it motivated them. It basically took that moment, and they basically was like, all right, this is our mission. This is the one. This is where we need to go. And then obviously the true mission statement: beat Penn State, beat Michigan State, beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten, win the Natty, get the national championship. And each game, they went in either with Harbaugh on the sidelines or not, and they kept motoring on with the tremendous defense, which was like one of the top 10 defenses in the country, and they kept going at it. They kept fighting for the belief of just finishing the job, finishing the story that we couldn't finish that year before. And let me tell you, yes, there's still the celebration going on, and there's a lot in our minds and in our hearts. And now we're thinking, now we did it, now we won it, now what's next? We just gotta, now the question is, will we be able to keep the head coach? Will we get to keep, will he stay? I hope he does. I want him to stay. I want him to be the Michigan head coach. I want Harbaugh still with us because I feel like there could be a dynasty possibly in the future. And let me tell you, if we do get this and keep doing what we're doing, I hate to say this, Anthony Florio, but you're going to be hearing Hail to the Victors. You might be hearing Hail to the Victors many, many, many times in the next few years. And all I can say is I cannot wait for that to happen. You know what? They did everything they needed it to do. They dominated that game, dominated the entire season. No matter what the circumstances was, they dug down deep and they got the job done. Hail to the victor valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail to Michigan, the leaders and the best. Hail to the victor valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail to Michigan, the champions of the West. Go Blue! Michael Bullock, it is yours.
Oh man, what a night it was Monday night. I mean, Michigan winning the national championship for the first time since '97. No co-champions, none of that. And they finished the story. They had their hearts ripped from them last year when TCU upset them, and we were like, can they finish the story? And that's exactly what they did. Now Jim Harbaugh and I love what he said after it. Now he can probably sit at the big boy table because remember John Harbaugh won his Super Bowl against brother Jim in the Super Bowl, and now Jim's got the national championship, and how ironic, of course, his brother John was there to support him, and just think, I mean, for Michigan, I mean, for JJ McCarthy, for Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, Colston Loveland, I mean, all those guys. And think of all the Michigan greats. They won it for all those Michigan greats that have worn that uniform, like Tom Brady, like Brian Greasy, for all the who have worn the Michigan uniform. I'm sure they were thinking of them. I mean, it was just an unbelievable night. It's a night that we at Michigan, I mean, will never forget. And I hope Jim Harbaugh will stick around and he gets to, I mean, I hope they realize they have a dynasty coming. And this is, it still feels like a dream to me. It just still feels like it's a dream, but it's real. And man, and just think, Michigan and Washington, they're going to be facing off when in Washington. Of course, we all know because they're moving to they're moving as well. So that's going to be something we're going to be really interested in. So congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines. First national championships since '97. Man, I'm just still so excited. So it is yours, Florio.
And who knows, gentlemen, could this be the beginning of what could be a big year for our teams? I mean, a lot of our teams are doing very well right now. And we got two of those, and we're going to be talking about two of those teams coming up now because, ladies and gentlemen, it's main event time. And this is what you all came for. This is what you all waited for. The NFL playoffs are here, and they kick off tomorrow late afternoon. 6 games in total, 2 tomorrow, 3 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday night. Let's start it off with the first of the 6 games, that being the Cleveland Browns, the number 5 seed, Cleveland Browns squaring off against the number 4 seed, Houston Texans, NRG Stadium, formerly Reliant Stadium in Houston, Texas. This game can be seen on NBC. And on the call for that game will be Noah Eagle, Todd Blackledge, and Catherine Tappan. And it is Cleveland opening up as a 2-point favorite. And this is the first postseason meeting ever between these two teams. So there isn't anything else left for me to say. Michael Bullock, come on in. You're going to start it off. The Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans kicking off Super Wildcard weekend. Who you got?
Man, this is a tough one here. I mean, I like what I've seen from Houston, especially with a man who I think could be the rookie of the year, the offensive rookie of the year, CJ Stroud. But there's just something about this Cleveland Browns team. I mean, that defense of theirs is it's just been playing well. And what's the thing that they always say? Defense helps you win championships. So we'll see if that can ring true for them. And then, of course, the emergence of Joe Flacco. I mean, who started the season just basically watching football at home, and he has really contributed to them. So, man, this is a tough one here, but I don't know. It's just something about this Cleveland Browns team I think it's tough for me to go against them. So I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns to win and to move on to the divisional round. But if the Houston Texans do pull this one out, I would not at all be surprised. But I'm going with the Cleveland Browns just because of what Joe Flacco has done. And, of course, let's not forget what the defense can do. So it is yours, Florio.
Yeah. There's going to be a couple of new wrinkles as part of the preview here. A game plan key, and I even have something about the officiating that I would like to address during this. So here we go. It's the same as I always do. You know how we do it. So here we go. The last time these two teams played, Browns wide receiver Amari Cooper finished with a team record 265 receiving yards in Cleveland's 36-22 win. The Texans did not have their starting quarterback, C.J. Stroud, who was in concussion protocol, and Case Keenum stepped in and threw 2 interceptions. The Texans have the utmost confidence that they can beat any team when they have Stroud, so expect this matchup to be much different now that he's healthy. The Browns will win the turnover battle for only the 3rd time this season. This is the first playoff matchup since the 1970 merger, featuring a team that committed the league's most turnovers, Cleveland, at 37, against the team that committed the fewest, Houston, only 14. The Browns have been emphasizing ball security in their building ahead of this matchup, so that should play in Cleveland's favor. Stroud's weakness is solving man coverage. While he has the highest QBR in the league against zone coverage, 74, he ranks 27th against man coverage, 39. His QBR decline of 35.1 is the largest from zone-to-man coverage this season. This weekend, tomorrow, Stroud will face a Browns defense that runs man coverage at the 10th highest rate, 47%, and has the best man defense in the league. The X factor is, well, there are 2 X factors. Browns cornerbacks Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson Jr. whenever they are lining up on Nico Collins. The Texans wideout had an incredible season, ranking 2nd in yards per route run behind only Miami's Tyreek Hill. If the Browns corners can shut him down on any given play, that seriously depletes Stroud's options. Emerson and Ward are good players, and this strength-on-strength matchup could decide the game. The game plan key, I'm looking for the Browns to scheme some deep shots for quarterback Joe Flacco. He had 5 completions on passes thrown at least 20 yards downfield when Cleveland met Houston in Week 16. Can the Texans contain the Browns' vertical passing game? Here's the officiating note. This game will feature 2 of the NFL's most penalized teams. The Browns were flagged 138 times, second most in the NFL, while the Texans were number 5 with 132 flags. And Browns' opponents were flagged 133 times, most in the league. However, referee Clay Martin's regular season crew threw the 4th fewest flags in the league at 12.4 a game. Texans are 9-3 against the spread in their last 12 meetings against the Browns. Michael Bullock, the FPI, agrees with you. Not much, but they do agree with you. 51% by an average of 0.2 points. I'm sorry, Bullock. I got to respectfully disagree with you. I got to go with Houston, mainly because the games in Houston won, and the big difference, C.J. Stroud. But would I be surprised if Cleveland wins? Absolutely not. But I got to go with Houston in this one. My final score, 24-21. Houston defeats Cleveland. So this game came in at number 3 when it comes to the 3 playoff games on our side of the ledger. So not much more to say here. MF, I got Houston. Bullock's got Cleveland. You're the tiebreaker. Who do you agree with?
Man, this is tough. I do like Cleveland's body of work. What they have done this season, they got a ferocious defense. Would I be stunned if they win this game? No. But I feel like with CJ Stroud, and I really believe he's going to be the X factor here. I think he's going to open the game up. He's going to give us a few of those great moments in the game. And to me, I got to go with Anthony Florio here. So I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. I just feel like defensively, they're going to be a little better. But don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be a situation where it can go a number of different ways. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Houston to beat Cleveland. It's going to be close. It's going to be a tight game. So there's really nothing more to say. All right, Bullock. First time in the postseason, you get to do it.
Oh, I'm lone wolfing it, baby.
Anthony, it's back to you, my friend.
In the immortal words of the late, great Regis Philbin, well, how do you follow that? My gosh. But I'm going to do the best I can. Well, there's only one way we can do it. The other half of tomorrow's doubleheader, that first one, 4:30 on NBC, and also streaming on Peacock. And speaking of Peacock, this next game can only be found on Peacock. Or for the people of Miami and Kansas City, you can watch it on your respective NBC affiliates, NBC Miami and NBC Kansas City. As it will be our game of the week. This is our playoff game of the week right here. 8 o'clock tomorrow night on NBC. The number 6 seed, Miami Dolphins, squaring off against the number 3 seed, your reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, on Peacock, exclusively on Peacock. A very unique announced team here. Mike Tirico is going to be pulling double duty this weekend, and with 2 different crews. For this game tomorrow night, it's not going to be his usual crew from Sunday night. We'll get to them later. For this game tomorrow, it will be Mike Tirico, Jason Garrett, and Kaylee Hartung. They're going to be working this game. Let me just get the schematics out of the way real quick here. Kansas City opening up as a 4.5-point favorite. 4th postseason meeting. They've met 3 times in the playoffs. And MF, good news for you. Your Miami Dolphins won all 3 meetings. 1971 AFC Divisional Playoff. One of the greatest games in the history of the NFL. Miami went into Arrowhead and beat Kansas City 27-24 in 2 overtimes. Second meeting, 1990 AFC Wildcard Playoff in Miami. Miami Dolphins won that game 17-16. And their last playoff meeting, 1994, also in the wildcard round, also in Miami. Miami also won 27-17. Now then, we do need to address the elephant in the room. The weather. Now, I'm not a weatherman. And I damn sure don't play one on TV. I'm not a Tony Petracca. I'm not a TJ Del Santo or what have you. But it is going to be cold, folks. How much so? Well, they're in the Central Time Zone. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're in the Central Time Zone. So it would be 7 o'clock their time when this game starts?
Yes.
MF, you're not going to like what you're about to hear. According to a very reliable weather site that I check, kickoff at game time temperature at kickoff, -1 degree. -1 with a wind chill of -20. And we're talking about a game that will last a good 3.5, 4 hours or so, less than around that. If it goes at least 3.5 to 4 hours, at the end of the game, it could be as low as -5 degrees, with a wind chill of -24. Yikes! And it's going to snow earlier in the day too. 40% chance of snow during the day. And a near record low of -12 degrees. Yikes. You think, yeah. And just wait. The next game we're going to get into is going to be just as bad, if not worse. But let's dive on in. The Chiefs defended wide receiver Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins about as well as they could have during their Week 9 meeting in Germany. but doing it a second time will be a challenge. Kansas City played a season-high 61% zone coverage in deference to Miami's speed and quickness. The Chiefs held Hill to 62 yards and made him fumble, returning it for the decisive touchdown. A similar performance would give the Chiefs a great chance for victory, but can they repeat it? Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will throw a pair of touchdowns without turning the ball over. The temperature at Arrowhead Stadium is projected to feel like it's well into the negatives by tomorrow night. Tagovailoa has faced criticism for his performance in cold weather. He has lost all 4 of his starts in sub-45-degree weather, completing just 55% of his passes. But he will snap out of it along with his late-season funk. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes has thrown multiple touchdown passes in 6 straight postseason games and enters this weekend looking to tie Hall of Famers Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, and Drew Brees for the 3rd longest streak in postseason history. The X factor, Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. He has not been the same player, and at this point, it has become blindingly clear that wide receiver help is not coming for the Chiefs. They need someone to be a dominant receiving threat, and Kelce is likely the only player on the roster who can become that if he can find his 2022 form again. Game plan key, how will the Chiefs slow down Tyreek Hill? Getting some 2-deep coverage variations into the game plan will be key to containing Miami's explosive pass game. Officiating note, the Chiefs were flagged more often for offensive holding 33 times than any other team. A big reason why they were number 6 overall in penalties at 126. This aspect of the game would be under more scrutiny had the Dolphins not suffered a series of injuries to their top pass rushers. But it's still worth noting that referee Brad Rogers' regular season crew threw the 2nd most flags for offensive holding with 48. The Dolphins were 10-7 against the spread in the regular season, with overs going 9-8. The Chiefs were 9-8 against the spread in the regular season, with unders going 11-6. The FPI likes Kansas City here, 53% by an average of about 1 point. It's a tough one. This one can go either way, but I got to go with the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. 27-23. I got Kansas City winning this game. So there isn't much more for me to say except MF. This is our game. Get the long johns ready, pal. Get those ready, baby. There isn't anything else left to say.
Double the socks. Get the long johns. Screw the tuxedo or the suit. We're gonna have to go in parkas for this one.
Yeah. And get the space heaters ready. That's all I'm saying. Get those space heaters ready. Beyond imperative. So
get the hot hands, get everything we need, yeah.
Yeah. So there isn't much more to say. The story writes itself. Tyreek Hill now will be returning to Arrowhead. They did play in the regular season, but that game was not in Kansas City. It was in Germany. So, and we had it. And but this time, Tyreek Hill returns to Arrowhead. It'll be interesting to see how the crowd reacts to him, whether he gets that hero's welcome or not. We'll wait and find out. But the other and more important story than Tyreek's return is, of course, the weather. You heard the numbers, and there isn't anything else left for me to say. Well, actually, there is. I mean, your Dolphins literally had the AFC East in their grasp. They literally had it. I mean, it was theirs to lose, and they literally did lose it. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. I mean, and it took one team. There was one team who made this turnaround and this how the tables have turned situation possible. That team being the Tennessee Titans, and we'll get a little more into them as, of course, Buffalo benefited big time from Tennessee. So in so many ways, not only beating your Dolphins, but also beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we'll get to Buffalo's remarkable story in just a moment. But you had it. You could have been the 2 seed had you beaten Buffalo last Sunday night and had Buffalo come in. But now you lost, and now, as punishment for this loss, you got to go to Arrowhead in what I'm being told could be the 4th coldest game in NFL history. 4th coldest. So there isn't anything else left for me to say on top of all this except, as to Phil Simms, to my Jim Nance, do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, this is going to be wild. This is crazy, man. I don't think none of us thought in our wildest dreams that this was going to happen, but here we are. And here is that situation. Now, where do we go from here? Well, we'll wait and find out. But at the end, it's going to be very interesting to watch. Going to be a great game, no doubt about it. It's how is Miami going to answer? You know, the entire situation. Um, it basically, if you're Miami, you're just gonna have to run the football. You know, you're possibly gonna have Raheem Mostert back because he was practicing this week, which is great news if you're a Miami Dolphins fan. That means he probably will be playing. And then obviously you also got the other big factor in the game. And at the end, you just have to handle your business. If you really think about it in hindsight, there's some people out there, some Dolphin fans that are like, this is actually a better outcome because then, if they would have won the game, they would have had to face off with Buffalo again, and Buffalo would be thinking revenge. Losing that game, they would have had a week to get acclimated with the Miami weather and everything else. Where Kansas City, you've been talking about it all season long, Anthony. They are like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You don't know what type of team you're going to get. And with as explosive of an offense that Miami has, and the defense, yes, they're riddled with injuries, but if you notice during this little week to get ready for the game, Miami reloaded. They grabbed at least 3 unbelievable defensive players, including a former Kansas City Chief in his own right, Justin Houston. He signed with the team. He's going to play tomorrow. So, obviously, if you're Miami, you're thinking, look, let the chips fall where they may. What was the one thing that Kansas City couldn't handle? The run attack. We got a 2-headed monster. Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane, both guys, when they get their hands on the ball, they basically rush for at least 6 to 7 yards per carry. In that, Raheem Mostert does about maybe 6.9, and Devon Achane does about 8. He runs for at least 8.3 per rush. He is one of the highest rated running backs as a rookie that goes all the way back to 1901. That's how remarkable he's been. So, if you're the Miami Dolphins, you lean on that run attack. Then, if you're the Dolphins, you just attack. You put the pressure on that defense. You put the pressure on Patrick Mahomes. You force him to throw the football to his receivers. You try to take Kelsey out, and you try to force him to throw it to the receivers and hope that they continue the sudden case of the dropsies, that they can't make those plays. If they do that, Miami has a legit shot of pulling the upset and knocking Kansas City out. They could. Do I think they will? Unfortunately, I don't, because of the fact that Miami has an Achilles heel on their own, and that's a run attack. I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to have a big running game. I think they're going to be able to neutralize what Miami will do offensively, and I believe Kansas City should win this game over Miami. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, like you said, this is going to be a good game here. I mean, yeah, the cold is really going to be a factor in this one. I mean, there are going to be a lot of hand warmers out there. There's going to be a lot of layers to be put on. But, yeah, I mean, I just wonder how Miami's going to be able to handle this. I mean, their record's usually not that good when it comes to playing in the cold. especially with what they're forecasting. But I think the running game for the Chiefs will be much better. But don't get me wrong, Miami will definitely give Kansas City some fits. But in the end, I just think Kansas City is going to somehow pull it out and move on to the divisional round. So there's nothing more to say. So let's move on, Florio.
All right, boys. We move on now. And that's the Saturday slate. Now we move on to the Sunday slate. Triple header. It all kicks off at 1 p.m. on the mothership, CBS. It's our number 2 game of this wildcard weekend. The number 7 seed, Pittsburgh Steelers, squaring off against the number 2 seed, your now 4-time reigning, defending, undisputed AFC Eastern Division champion, my Buffalo Bills, Highmark Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. Hello, friends. Jim Nance, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, Jay Feely, they will be there. And Buffalo opening up as the largest favorite of the week. Buffalo opening up as a 9.5-point favorite. 4th postseason meeting between these two. They've met 2 times before. The Pittsburgh Steelers, however, lead this postseason series 2-1. First meeting was in the divisional playoff in 1974 in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh won 32-14. Second meeting was in the 1992 AFC divisional playoff, and the Buffalo Bills went into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers 24-3. The last postseason meeting, AFC divisional playoff in 1995, Pittsburgh won that one going away 40-21. So 2-1 Pittsburgh leads that. Before I give it to MF to start this one off, we got to keep an eye on the weather for this game also. In Orchard Park on Sunday, game time temperature 20 degrees with snow. Lots of it. You thought that snow game we saw in Foxborough last Sunday was something? This, I believe, is going to be even worse. The forecast is calling for a 90% chance of snow, 3 to 5 inches of snow. Game time temperature 20 degrees, around 21 degrees. And it's so bad that they're calling on locals to shovel snow for them, to do their best efforts to get Highmark Stadium as ready as possible for this game Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock on CBS. Game time temperature is going to be 20 degrees. By the end of the game, it'll be right around that same 20, maybe even 21 degrees with the snow and the wind. 3 to 5 inches of snow, 90% chance of it. Winds, let me just double check it. Winds, west-southwest at 25 to 35 miles an hour. Yikes. This could be our version of the Tuck Rule game, if you really think about it. It could be that bad. But nonetheless, MF, you lead it off. Number 2 game of the week. You want to talk about 2 teams that literally came in from the cold. Pittsburgh, a few weeks ago, their playoff hopes were on life support. Mitchell Trubisky out, Mason Rudolph in, and they've won every game, including a big win in Baltimore last Saturday. And I can't say it enough when it comes to this Buffalo Bill team. A month ago, they were the 11th seed, 11th in the AFC. 21% chance to make the playoffs, 4% chance to win the division. They close out the regular season winning 5 in a row, and they've gone from 11 all the way to 2. And somehow, some way, are AFC East champions for the 4th consecutive year. I'll have my say on them in a little bit, but MF, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, kicking off the Sunday slate and finishing off the AFC side. What a story for Buffalo, man. Wow.
It is. But be careful here. I know a lot of people are saying Buffalo. this is what Pittsburgh wants to hear. Big underdog. Nobody's really giving them a chance. But here's the thing. In a game like this, Josh Allen's neutralized. He can't throw the football. He's going to have to rely on his legs. And Pittsburgh's defense has been locked down, especially in the run attack. Buffalo's got some question marks defensively because not only did Miami suffer some casualties, Buffalo also suffer some major casualties in that Week 18 win. Yeah, you won the division, but at what cost did it hurt to lose some of your top guys? So that's going to be a factor that could change going into that game. With everything going on, obviously, you're going to have to rely on the run attack. And I got to say it, man, that might be advantage Pittsburgh, believe it or not, because Buffalo's run attack really non-existent, especially last week when they played against Miami. There was a couple of moments where they did good, but it never really panned it out. At the end of the day, Buffalo's going to have to be a little more resourceful, and they're going to have to figure a different way out. Joe Brady's offense is going to be a lot more different this time around than it was than any other game, because you might have to run your way to the victory, not pass it. Because with the wind, with the snow, it's gonna make things life a lot more difficult, and that might not be the strategy to win a game like this. You might have to run it. That means you're gonna have to use JA-17. You might use some trickeration, maybe get somebody out there to really do some kind of damage. And then you just got to try to maneuver and mobilize whatever you need to do. I think Buffalo will win the game because I think that they're going to make the least amount of mistakes, because I think the ball's coming out. When you ever get these type of snow games, turnovers are going to be a lot more higher and a lot more dangerous than anything else. This is going to be a sloppy, ugly game. You don't expect this to be high scoring, because it will not. 17-13, Buffalo wins. But let me tell you, man, Anthony, I hate to say it, but you're going to have to grind another. Might have to do another one of those type of games where you might have to hold on for dear life, because it might be nervy time again. You've been through enough of these little close type battles. I hate to say it, but I don't think it's going to change. I think you're going to have to sweat this one out too. So Buffalo wins, but it's not going to be as comfortable of a game. The experts is having Buffalo at least by 10. I don't think it's going to be that big of a margin. I think it's going to be a lot more closer than the experts have it. So Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Bullock, are you there? Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be. Yeah, this should be a good one here. I mean, especially with the snow that's coming down. I mean, Pittsburgh, they defied a lot just to get into the postseason, but nobody defied the odds more than the Buffalo Bills, like you said, Florio. When this team went from the number 11 seed to the number 2 seed and another division title. Yeah, Josh Allen's going to have to get it done with his legs, because throwing it and maybe catching it is definitely going to be tough with the way the snow is going to come down. So we'll see what happens with that, but I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills to win this one. I mean, they are at home. Bills Mafia is going to be rocking, snow or no snow. So I'm going with the Buffalo Bills to win this one. So there's really nothing more to say. So it's yours, man. Your team. Can they get back to the divisional round? And just like what Michigan did, can they finish the story? Are you there, Florio? Hmm.
Oh, we lost Anthony Florio. Uh-oh. We got him back. All right.
Froze. Obviously
Yeah.
froze.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling. Because I heard you like kind of glitching, so I kind of knew like connection was not either good or you were freezing up. So you're good. Go ahead, Florio.
Okay. All right. So before that rude interruption, let's all right. All right, let me go ahead and get into this here. Okay. The roads that the Bills and Steelers took to this game contain an eerie number of similarities, from losing key players to injuries for stretches to putting together season-ending winning streaks despite low playoff odds. Both teams also fired their offensive coordinators at midseason, becoming the first playoff teams to have an in-season coordinator change since the 2012 Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens. Steelers are looking for the team's first playoff win since 2016, while the Buffalo Bills are 13-2 in home playoff games since 1970. Limiting quarterback Josh Allen in the postseason will pose a challenge for Pittsburgh, as Allen is the only player in NFL history to average 250 passing yards and 50 rushing yards a game, and has the highest combined average yardage, 344 yards. Steelers running back Najee Harris will have his third consecutive game of at least 100 rushing yards. The Bills' rushing defense is arguably the toughest the Steelers have faced in at least a month, allowing opponents an average of 103 rushing yards a game in their last 3 games. But Harris is on a roll with back-to-back games of 100-plus rushing yards. With the temperature expected to be below freezing, wind gusts of 50 miles an hour, and possible light snow, the Steelers will lean heavily on their ground game. Sharing the backfield with Jaylen Warren, Harris had just 255 touches in the regular season, his fewest in his 3-year NFL career, making him as fresh as possible for the playoffs. Steelers had 9 wins in 1-score games during the regular season, which led the NFL and are the most in a single season in franchise history. The X factor is Bills left tackle Dion Dawkins. With edge rusher TJ Watt out, Alex Highsmith is even more crucial to the Steelers' pass rush. If Dawkins, who has had a really nice season and ranked 4th in pass block win rate among tackles, can shut down Highsmith, that should set up Josh Allen for a pretty smooth day. Pittsburgh has to run the ball well. The game plan key is for Pittsburgh. They have to run the ball well between the tackles. Harris and Warren finished the regular season hot, and Buffalo allowed 4.6 yards a carry on inside runs this season, 30th in the NFL. For the officiating, this game will benefit from one of the NFL's most trusted referees. Carl Cheffers has been the Super Bowl referee in 2 of the last 3 years and 3 in the last 7. His regular season crew threw the 3rd fewest flags in the league at 12.1 a game. Steelers 10-7 against the spread in the regular season with unders going 11-6. Bills were 7-10 against the spread in the regular season with unders going 11-6. FPI loves Buffalo here, 77% by an average of 10 points. I definitely disagree with that rating. Of course, I'm going to go with Buffalo. Absolutely. My original final score was 34-20, but I don't really see it being that high. If it gets that high in those conditions, that would be something, but it's going to be a lot lower scoring than that. I say Buffalo ekes it out. I'm going to say it's not going to be easy. I'm going to say 14-10. Buffalo wins. But I just can't say enough about this team. I mean, I effing love this team, man. I mean, they proved me wrong. They proved Bills Mafia wrong. And honestly, I was ready to give up. Honestly, I was. But you cannot measure heart, guts, and resiliency. And this team has all three of those in spades. And I just want to say, whether they finish the story or they don't, I have never been more prouder of this team than I am right now. And God, I hope they can pull it out. I hope they can go all the way. That would be one hell of a story. I mean, these guys had their thrill with Michigan. What a story it would be if Buffalo were to somehow, take this thing home. But it ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be fun. I hate sweating it out, but if that's what I have to do to win, so be it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Let the chips fall where they may, boys. 14-10 Buffalo wins. My original score was 34-20, but that's obviously not happening. So, all right. So with that, we move on to the NFC side of the playoff picture. How about this? The first 3 games out of the box are the AFC, and then we go to the NFC right after that. Next game, Sunday at 4:30 on Fox. The renewal of perhaps the greatest playoff rivalry in NFL history. The number 7 seed Green Bay Packers squaring off against the number 2 seed Dallas Cowboys, AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi. They'll be in Dallas for this one to renew one of the greatest playoff rivalries. Many call it maybe the greatest playoff rivalry in history, and with good reason. First, let me just set the table here. Dallas is opening up as a 7-point favorite. And these two teams this is going to be, you ready for this, guys? This is going to be the 9th time these two teams are meeting in the playoffs. And it's even 4-4. 1966, NFL championship game in Dallas. Green Bay won 34-27. The next game, one of the greatest games in NFL history, the infamous Ice Bowl in 1967 at Lambeau. Coldest game in NFL history. Green Bay won 21-17 for the NFL championship. 1982, they met in the second round of a tournament during the strike-shortened season in Dallas. Dallas won 37-26. And then 1993, they met in the divisional playoff in Dallas. Dallas won 27-17. The next year, they met in another divisional playoff in Dallas. Dallas won 35-9. Then they met in the NFC Championship game the following year. Dallas won 38-27. 2014, divisional playoff. Green Bay won in Green Bay. 26-21, the infamous Dez Bryant, did he catch it or not? And then most recently, another divisional playoff in Dallas, 2016. Green Bay won 34-31 on that miraculous throw by Aaron Rodgers, finding Jared Cook. We all know that story. So there isn't anything else left to say except Michael Bullock. We get to renew perhaps the greatest playoff rivalry in NFL history, the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. The second game of the triple-header on Sunday. Packers the 7 seed, Cowboys the 2, Jerry World, Fox Crew, Michael Bullock, this is it. Who you got? Green Bay and Dallas to kick off the NFC side.
Man, when you think of these two teams that when they play in the playoffs, you always expect something good. I mean, of course, you got the Ice Bowl when of course, they met at Lambeau Field. That 2014 divisional round, the Des Bryant catch that wasn't. 2016, Dallas Cowboys were the number 1 seed, and Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I mean, they broke their hearts, and now here they are again, being in the playoffs again. But this time around, I mean, yes, you still got Dak Prescott, but you got young Jordan Love and probably the biggest game of his young career. I mean, Dallas has got that offense that's been on all cylinders right now, especially with CeeDee Lamb having one of his best seasons. But for Jordan Love, this is his moment. This is his chance to shine and show why he is now the guy in Green Bay. But I got to go with Dallas. I think they got to win this game. And here's another team that's got a story to finish of their own, because the last few times they got into the divisional round, and that's where it ends for them. They want to get to the divisional round and even further, because I've heard some people think that Mike McCarthy could be coaching for his job, because if for some reason they lose this game or they lose again in the divisional round, that he could be gone. So it's very critical for them to win this game and then hopefully go on a nice run. But I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys to win this one. So it is yours, Florio.
Playoff games between the Cowboys and Packers have been memorable. From the Ice Bowl, better known as the 1967 NFL Championship, to the 2014 divisional round when Des Bryant didn't or did catch it, to the 2016 divisional round when Aaron Rodgers' 35-yard completion set up the game-winning field goal. In that game, quarterback Dak Prescott was making his first playoff start. In this game, quarterback Jordan Love is making his first playoff start. Dallas coach Mike McCarthy was on the Packers sideline for those last 2 games, but now he gets a chance to end his former team's season and advance to the divisional round of the playoffs for the second straight season. In a game that features the quarterbacks who ranked first and second in the NFL in touchdown passes this season, Prescott with 36, Love with 32, both Packers running back Aaron Jones and Cowboys running back Tony Pollard will top 100 yards. Jones ended the season with 3 straight games over 100 yards, and Pollard is coming off his second consecutive 1,000-yard season and will face a Green Bay defense that allowed a 28th ranked 128 rushing yards a game this season. Packers are 5-0 at AT&T Stadium all time, including playoffs, 4-0 against the Cowboys, plus their Super Bowl 45 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The X factor is Jordan Love. In theory, this should be Dallas's game, and it shouldn't be that close. But since Week 10, the top players in QBR have been Dak Prescott and Jordan Love, respectively. If Love can pull out an exceptional game, Green Bay has a real chance. The game plan key, I'm excited to see if Dallas can scheme some interior pass rushing plays from Micah Parsons. He led the NFL in pass rush win rate this season at 35%, and there will be opportunities when he kicks inside. For the officiating, the Cowboys have been exceptional this season at drawing coverage penalties from opponents who have been flagged an NFL high 31 times for defensive pass interference, defensive holding, or illegal contact. It's a big reason why the Cowboys led the league with 43 first downs via penalty. The Packers' shell coverage, however, was only flagged 16 times for coverage fouls, NFL's 7th fewest. Packers were 10-7 against the spread in the regular season, with overs going 10-7. Cowboys were 10-7 against the spread in the regular season, with unders going 9-8. FPI loves Dallas here, 74% by an average of 9 points. Dallas wins, but it's closer than you think. Dallas wins this one 31-24. I got the Dallas Cowboys knocking off the Green Bay Packers. So not much more for me to say. MF, Mike McCarthy squaring off against the team that he coached to that Super Bowl 45 in Dallas over Pittsburgh. And now the NFL's greatest playoff rivalry gets to write a chapter 9. How about that?
Yeah, it is, and it's gonna be a great game. I'm going with Dallas. They're at home. Whenever they play at home, they normally dominate those kind of games. I think Green Bay will make it interesting for at least 3 quarters, but I think Dallas will ultimately win this game, and I think they'll win this pretty comfortably, actually, guys. So I got 31-17, the Dallas Cowboys advancing to the divisional round and winning that game. So, Anthony, back to you.
The final game of the Sunday triple header, 8 p.m. on NBC, Sunday Night Football, if you will, as it will be the number 6 seed Los Angeles Rams squaring off against the number 3 seed. And first time since 1993, NFC North Division champion Detroit Lions from Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. And Mike Tirico will be back with his traditional Sunday Night Football crew of Chris Collinsworth and Melissa Stark. And Detroit opening up as a 3-point favorite in this one. Just a 3-point spread for Detroit. Only the second postseason meeting between these two. The other time they met in a playoff game, guys, you got to go all the way back to 1952 in a conference playoff in Detroit. And the Detroit Lions won that game by a score of 31-21. Matthew Stafford against Jared Goff. It's the Lions' first home playoff game since the 1993 season at the old legendary Pontiac Silverdome against the Green Bay Packers, as the two former number 1 overall pick quarterbacks face off for the second time since they were traded for each other in 2021. There is no shortage of suspense as Lions coach Dan Campbell will try to lead Detroit to its first postseason victory since the 1991 season. That came against Dallas in the divisional playoff. While Rams coach Sean McVay is looking to improve his career record in playoff games, which is currently, I believe, 7-3. Stafford will throw for at least 350 yards. It's not a mark he has hit yet this season, but the matchup could be a high-scoring one. Stafford, who played for the Lions for 12 seasons, has a career average of 278 passing yards a game at Ford Field, 4th highest by any quarterback at a single stadium in NFL history, according to the Elias Sports Bureau. The Lions went for it on 4th down 34% of the time this season, highest of any team this century. Rams went for it 17% of the time, which ranks 20th this season. But Los Angeles might consider being more aggressive on 4th down, as it has missed 16 combined field goals and extra points this season, the most by any team since the 2001 Pittsburgh Steelers, when they missed 17. The X factor is Lions edge rusher and Michigan man Aiden Hutchinson. He finished the regular season red hot with 5 sacks, a forced fumble, and a 19% pass rush win rate at edge in his final 2 games. If he keeps that up, that would be huge for the Lions defense. The game plan key is for Lion running backs David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs could see volume Sunday night, especially out of 11 personnel. Rams allowed 4.9 yards a carry against such alignments this season. And for the officiating, the Lions' challenge in covering the Rams' passing game will be enhanced by their proclivity to commit coverage penalties. They were flagged 29 times for defensive pass interference, defensive holding, or illegal contact, 5th most in the NFL. They were also flagged 6 times for roughing the passer, tied for the 4th most. Referee Craig Rolstead threw 4 flags for roughing the passer during the regular season, tied for 6th fewest. Rams were 10-7 against the spread in the regular season, with overs going 9-8. Lions were 12-5 against the spread in the regular season, best record in the NFL. Their overs went 11-6, also tied for the highest over percentage in the NFL. FPI likes Detroit 54% by an average of 1.4 points. Very tough to call. Out of all the games this week, this is easily the toughest. But I believe in this Lions team, just as much as I believe in my own team. And I'm going to take a chance and go with the Detroit Lions to win this game 24-20. But I would not at all be surprised if the LA Rams were to steal this one. I wouldn't. So I'm going with the Lions here 24-20. So MF, can you imagine what Ford Field is going to be like on Sunday night with the LA Rams coming in for the Detroit Lions' first home playoff game since the 93-94 season at the old Silverdome.
I cannot even imagine, or I cannot even think what that's going to be like. These fans have been waiting such a long time for this moment, and now here it is. They get it. I think Detroit's going to rise to the occasion. I think Detroit wins this game, and I think they advance. So I think this magical ride that Detroit has been on, I think it's going to take one more chapter. So I got Detroit winning and advancing. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
He may have hit the wrong button. That's what I'm thinking. So, because we just lost Bullock, I don't know. I'm hoping he'll be back. And but man alive, what a story for the Detroit Lions. That's all there is to say on that. Just as much as Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo, obviously the sentimental favorite in the AFC. Detroit, I believe, is the sentimental favorite in the NFC. No question about it. Even though both teams are not the favorites, that's obviously the teams that finished as the number one seeds, respectively. But you never know. You never know in the postseason. So, but while we wait for Michael Bullock to come back in, let's set the table for the final game of the wild card weekend. Monday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. on ESPN and ABC. The number 5 seed Philadelphia Eagles, the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles, squaring off against the number 4 seed, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, they will be there for that one. Philadelphia opening up as a 3-point favorite. Can't say I'm surprised by that. And then these two teams, no strangers to the playoff football either. They've met in the postseason a few times. Of course, had a memorable NFC Championship game many years ago. This is actually going to be their 6th time. Oh, okay, we got Bullock back. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on the Los Angeles Rams and the Detroit Lions? What an atmosphere it's going to be inside Ford Field Sunday night for the first home playoff game in 30 years since the old Silverdome days.
Yeah, this is going to be a great moment for the city of Detroit. I mean, their first home playoff game in 30 years, and for the first time ever, Ford Field will be hosting a playoff game. That atmosphere is going to be so electric, and yeah, I cannot wait to see this. I mean, I think the Rams will definitely give them some fits, but I believe in this Detroit Lions team as well. I mean, they've come such a long way, winning their first division title in 30 years. I think they're going to win their first playoff game in a long time. I think they're due for one. So I'm going with the Detroit Lions. So, yeah, so now it's on to the Monday Night Football game with the Eagles and the Bucks.
8:15 p.m. It'll be simulcast on ESPN and ABC. The number 4 seed, number 5 seed, your reigning, defending, undisputed NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles squaring off against the number 4 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Raymond James Stadium, Tampa, Florida. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters on the call. Philadelphia opening up as a 3-point favorite. 6th time they're meeting in the playoffs, these two teams. First was 1979 in the NFC divisional playoff in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay won the game 24-17. Then they met in the wildcard round in 2000 in Philadelphia. Philadelphia won that game 21-3. They met again in the playoffs the following year in another wildcard round in 2001 in Philadelphia. Philly, it was all Philly in that one, ran them out 31-9. 2002 NFC Championship game, which would end up being the final football game in the illustrious history of the legendary Veterans Stadium. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won that game 27-10, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. And their most recent meeting 2 years ago in the wild card round in Tampa Bay won the game 31-15. Tampa Bay leads the all-time postseason series by a count of 3-2. So, I do believe this goes to good old MF Michael Fletcher to start. So, MF, Philadelphia. Started the year, it started 10-1. Looked like they were going to be the team to beat in the NFC. And oh my goodness, what a collapse for this team. And for Tampa Bay, I mean, they blew an opportunity to win the division at home against New Orleans. They barely got by Carolina. Both of these teams are struggling, to say the very least. So something's got to give here. So MF, started with you, Philly and Tampa to round out the wild card weekend. Like I said, something's got to give. Both of these teams struggling, to say the very least. So kind of hard to pick a winner, but who you got anyway, MF, as I give it to you for Philadelphia and Tampa Bay to close out this. Well, all right. I think MF might have stepped away for a moment. So while we wait for MF to come back, Michael Bullock. All right. We got MF. Okay. Never mind. All right, MF. Eagles, Buccaneers. You want to talk about two teams that are struggling. Something's got to give. Somebody's got to win. Who?
Yes. This of all the games on Super Wildcard Weekend, this is the most unpredictable one. This is the one that could go either way. You could see the Eagles win the game. You could see Tampa win the game. I'm actually going to go with Tampa to advance. I think there might be some trouble. I actually just read a report about A.J. Brown, and if it's accurate, this is not good for Philly. Like, bad news. So, I'm not going to say anything more. I think Tampa steals it and wins. So, Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, Philadelphia looks like this was the team that was going to once again be in the Super Bowl, and lately it's just been an absolute struggle. And Tampa, I mean, yeah, I mean, and Baker Mayfield's actually been playing well, and why this team is all this, they're in the playoffs, and yeah, until I see something from Philadelphia, and like you said with that report, if it's true, I got to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this one. I mean, that's what I got to go with. And there's another reason why I want to see Tampa beat Philadelphia, so they could stick it to all those disgusting and despicable Philadelphia fans, including a certain EDP 445. So just to stick it to all those guys in Philadelphia. So it is yours, Florio.
Okay. MF and I should know because we actually had this game. This was one of our cross-flex games during early in the regular season on a Monday night. This is a Week 3 rematch that Bucs inside linebacker Devin White so accurately predicted after the Bucs' 25-11 home loss on Monday Night Football. But these two teams have headed in opposite directions. The Bucs have won 5 of their last 6, while the Eagles have lost 5 of their last 6. The Bucs will also see a different-looking defense since senior assistant Matt Patricia took over in Week 15. Both quarterbacks are dealing with injuries, as Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield has not only a rib injury, but also an ankle injury, while Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts suffered a finger injury on his throwing hand last week. Bucs running back Rachaad White will eclipse 125 all-purpose yards. The last time these two teams met, the Eagles held Tampa Bay to 41 rushing yards, but the run defense has fallen off a cliff since then, yielding 142 yards a game on average over their last 7 games. A banged-up Mayfield could lean on White in both the ground and short passing game. Jalen Hurts has struggled with ball security against the blitz this season, throwing 5 touchdown passes with 8 interceptions. Those 8 turnovers were the most by any quarterback when blitzed this season. Monday night, Hurts will face a Tampa Bay defense that blitzed at the 3rd highest rate during the regular season. The X factor, believe it or not, it's Jalen Hurts' finger. He said on Thursday that he hadn't thrown a ball since injuring his finger in Week 18. If that injury hampers his ability to throw the ball on Monday night, then this is an entirely different ball game. The game plan key, can Philly get the run game going with DeAndre Swift? He ran for 130 yards against Tampa Bay in Week 3, and feeding him in the run game could help the Eagles get into a rhythm. And for the officiating, for all the public discussion the Eagles endured over their offensive linemen lining up offsides on tush-push plays, the bigger story is that their offensive line was flagged an NFL low 8 times for offensive holding. The Buccaneers' defensive front drew 22 such flags, tied for 16th most. Eagles were 7-10 against the spread in the regular season, with overs going 9-8. Bucs were 11-6 against the spread in the regular season, with unders going 11-6. The FPI likes Philadelphia 57% by an average of 3 points. I disagree. I got to go with Tampa Bay. I have not liked what I've seen from Philly. But then again, I haven't really liked what I've seen from Tampa either, especially over the last 2 games. But I got to give the slight edge to Tampa here. I think Tampa will win this one. 28-21, Tampa Bay over Philadelphia. And with that, that puts the bow on this Super Wildcard edition of the Super Wildcard Weekend edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We will be back with you tomorrow night at 10:30 over on MF's channel, Race Fan 95, for another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. Friday night SmackDown and AEW Collision. And then Monday night, we do it all over again, Ridiculously Raw. Monday Night Raw as we continue the road to the Royal Rumble. And I will also have a special Tony's Take where I will have the results of the TNA Hard to Kill pay-per-view. And then on Wednesday night, we got Wednesday Night Madness with MF, as it will be all about NXT and AEW Dynamite as always. And then next Friday night, we do it all over again. Only this time, it'll be all about the divisional playoffs. TXN Sports World NFL Friday Divisional Playoff Edition 1 week from tonight. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF, it's Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and of course, always and forever in spirit, the First Lady Dee Dee Woodson. You'll do routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up, Fortune Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday, and until tomorrow night, for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching this Super Wild Card Weekend edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday, right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.